Welcome to the University of Findlay Art and Culture Show. I am your host, Sharinda, and today we are welcoming to our studio Ms. Courtney Comstock from Hancock County's Litter Landing, correct?
Yes, part of the solid waste district, absolutely.
Welcome to the set.
Thank you.
And this is an interesting topic to talk about, recycling, because many communities around the United States and other parts of the world, they have required recycling. So it's curbside or it's specific locations even within neighborhoods that people have to separate their wastes for recycling purposes. Does Findlay and Hancock County have that type of a program set in place right now?
The Ohio EPA mandates that for the entire state, that you have to have a certain percentage of access to recycling. We do not have a mandated curbside program in Hancock County or in the city of Findlay because the residents do a great job of volunteering their materials on the regular.
Wonderful. And so there's a misunderstanding sometimes that because the recycling is in the city limits, that this is just a City of Findlay program, but that is not correct.
That is accurate as well. We are actually funded by the Hancock County Solid Waste Management District, which is monies that is earmarked by the Ohio EPA to the county, but it's no tax dollars. So we provide this service free of charge to everyone within Hancock County limits. However, at Litter Landing, they are able to come from multiple counties to bring us their materials if they would like to donate to the program to keep it funded.
Because some other areas that are bordering Hancock County don't have a litter recycling program.
That's right. It's very limited in some places. We have a lot of communities that are dual county residencies. So they may work in Findlay, and it's more convenient for them, even though they are a different county resident, to just donate at our facility.
And you mentioned that the recycled materials that come in help to fund and keep the program going. And that's something I don't think a lot of people know about. They're assuming that when they're donating those things there, they're going to a recycling program, but they don't realize maybe that it's also revenue generating. Could you explain that a little bit?
We process the materials when they come in, and then we sell them off to different vendors. And that's how we pay the staff. That's how we provide the trucks. That's how we purchase roll-offs. That's how we provide education. That is how the program is funded. The misconception is truly that as a county agency, we're getting tax dollars. That doesn't happen.
And that's why it's not on the levies. It's not,
that
we're never
is
asked
correct.
to vote for it.
Correct. That's where it's a completely volunteer program. So the more donations that we can accept from residents and businesses, the better chances we are of improving our revenue stream. The other kick with that is we are completely dependent upon the revenue of the recycling market. So as the markets drop and change, we may get the same materials. However, we're getting less revenue to run the programs.
Okay.
That's where the cuts start to come in.
So with the materials that you collect, I want to talk, there's so much to talk about.
I know.
I want to talk a little bit about the collections side of it, but I also would like to talk about the staff side of it.
Okay.
So let's go on the operations staff side first. You've mentioned trucks, and when I've donated, I've seen forklift operators. There's giant cages where you throw your materials in, and then there's also giant tubs that you toss things in depending on what it is you're donating. So there's a team of people there. How does one go about applying to work for Litter Landing?
We have hard copy applications that are available online for print or available at the facility to come in and donate, to come in and apply. That is for forklift drivers, CDL drivers. I currently have 3 CDL drivers, 2 trucks, a box van. I have 5 balers that we run and operate the facility on after we sort the materials that come in. 3 forklift operators, can crushing machine, and then glass roll-offs that we need to coordinate with. So there's a lot of juggling. And currently, right now, we have a full staff of 7 employees.
Okay.
7.
And so that sounds like a lot, but when you equate that the facility is open 7 days a week.
Correct.
That's one person a day.
Minimum, and I have to have, for safety purposes, I need to have at least two
Two.
on site at all given times, and we're open 78 hours a week.
So let's talk about those hours. We just mentioned that it's 7 days a week. What hours are people able to drive in and drop off their materials?
At Litter Landing, they can come in Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays, we are open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then also on Sundays, we are open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So yes, 7 days.
Wow. That's quite a service.
We try.
Yes,
we
because
certainly try.
so many people's schedules for our area are still 8 to 5 or 4 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. So having those Saturday and Sunday hours and it be such a wide range is very beneficial with people's shifts and how their weekends and their work weeks shift for some people.
Absolutely. We try and accommodate so that in theory most people have access, which is what the EPA wants. They have access to the recycling facility as often as we possibly can staff it.
And I know that around the holiday season, you're still open. Sometimes it's for a little less of an hour range, but I know that this year the weather was pretty decent around the Christmas holiday.
Yes.
So I was like, let's do some deep cleaning and get some things out of the garage.
You were one of
and
many.
You were there. Yes, I was, because there was quite a line.
Yes. Around the holiday time, not only do families celebrate with their gatherings and the dinners and the extra prep work that goes into that, and the beverage containers that are sorted and distributed. I mean, the recycling of gift boxes,
Some wrapping paper now.
Yes, our local facility cannot accept wrapping
Okay.
paper because of the plastic mix in the paper. But yes, we get all sorts of materials that increase during the holiday and family time. So you see different times during the summer where people go on vacation and you just see the amount of recyclables that get collected because, you know, everybody's got to clean that garage from time to time.
From time to time. So I had mentioned recycling wrapping paper, and you corrected me that the site doesn't accept it.
Correct.
I know that some companies have gone to marking with a special mark that it is recyclable.
Yes.
So that's why I was thinking if it said recyclable, it could come to the site.
And as long as it's labeled, you are correct.
Okay.
However, a lot of papers still are not labeled.
And those are the shiny, heavy metallics, the
Correct.
heavier high color. That's where there's a plastic mix that makes it so that currently they can't be recycled.
That is correct.
Okay, so let's talk about some other materials that you accept and some of the myths.
Okay.
Let's do some myth busting here.
Okay.
Because I know that one of the things that happens is that people have dogs or cans of dog food and cat food that's about the same size as a can of soda, and one's metal and one is aluminum. Myth number one, metal cannot be recycled.
That is an absolute false statement.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Steel food cans can absolutely be recycled. We prefer they're rinsed out.
Well, yes, for all of them, that because of B factor, because this is an open air area.
Absolutely.
Plus, it's going to smell better in your garage if you're
Absolutely,
rinsing things out.
yes.
But the confusion becomes, okay, now I know that metal and tin can be recycled as well as aluminum, but they are still they're different alloys, different materials.
Correct.
So we still need to separate those before we bring them in.
Yes.
So I know that you brought some wonderful examples today because there is confusion, and you're using smaller cans, but could you please show us the difference between these and how at home we can decide how to separate them before we bring them in?
Okay. A lot of the misconception is because the containers look very similar. They're the same size. They both have a little pop tab on the top. So they must be the same type of material. However, aluminum and steel are very different. You can kind of tell by the weight, but the easiest way to tell the difference between your materials is to get a refrigerator magnet right off your fridge. If you stick it to the aluminum can, it doesn't stay. If you apply it to a steel food can or a steel can, it will stay. This is the same with aerosol containers, hairspray cans. There's a difference in those types of materials. Obviously, your fruits and vegetable containers can kind of be a little bit different. A lot of the food cans look very similar, but again, like you mentioned, the dog food and the cat food, 80%, not all, but 80% of the cat food cans are actually aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, where the dog food cans are majority steel. Mm-hmm. So that's where just a magnet off your refrigerator. It's simple to do. Put it right on there. You can tell the difference.
And for the pop lids that completely come off, like on your cat and dog food, that's still recyclable.
Absolutely. It goes in with the aluminum because even on the steel cans, it's an aluminum peel back. Yep.
That they think that because it's not an actual can, it may not be able to be recycled. Now, do you prefer that for the cans that have the paper wrappings around them, do you prefer that those wrappers be taken off before they come into litter landing, or is it okay to drop them off with the Dole wrapper on there?
It's completely fine for our purposes. There are other recycling programs throughout the state that may have different regulations, so you're going to want to check with your local recycler. But here in Findlay, Ohio, Hancock County, we are fine with the wrapper being on it. We just ask that you rinse it out. Again, as you mentioned, the bees can be tricky, you know, the different insects, you know, we're an outdoor facility, so we've got other animals that like to visit. Yes.
Well, and you're right there near the beautiful waterway, so you have other critters.
Yes.
I'm sure you've met many a raccoon and possum.
Absolutely. Nothing's a little more intimidating than when you're going through one of those bins and all of a sudden,
hello, there's
hi,
the
there
face.
you are. So it's a little startling, but we enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, they got to eat too.
Okay, so you also have here 2 containers that look like they've been manufactured and they're the same. Tell us about that.
So at Litter Landing's recycling facility, we take plastics numbered 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s, and 7s. There are actually 7 different types of plastics, which are 4s and 6s, that we cannot accept at our facility.
So to review, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7.
That is correct.
1, 2, 3, 5, 7.
Yep.
Okay, so basically all the odds with a 2. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So the number 4s and the number 6s, and actually this number can be found on all household products. If you've not been familiar, the recycling logo is on the bottom of all the plastics
that can be recycled.
That can be recycled. And as long as you have this logo and it has a number in it, we can usually accept it at Litter Landing, unless that number is a 4 or a 6.
Okay.
So one of the misconceptions or the confusing things is that everyone sees these, they're
And just
identical.
assumes.
They both had salad in it. They both, you know, it is what it is. However, on the bottom, you can kind of see I've circled where the logo is.
Can you hold that up just a
Yeah,
little bit longer?
sure.
I'll help. There we
That'd
go.
be great. On the bottom of both of these is the logo. This one has a number 1 with the PET, which is what the number 1 plastics are called. And this one has a number 6 with a PS underneath it for polystyrene, which is not accepted. However, at quick glance, it does look like we would accept both. However, another thing you can check, if it's small print, it's hard to see on the clear bottles, it happens all the time. You just kind of give it a squeeze, hear how deep that is. If you give this a squeeze,
Thinner.
it's definitely a different pitch.
Tinnier.
So if you're in doubt, you can do that, check it. And I always tell our volunteers that help us, when in doubt, throw it out. Because this is our revenue stream. And if we don't get it right when we process it, we don't get the revenue. They kick out the whole loads. So it is important that this recycling be done properly. Recycle right.
And so that's a really good segue. We'll get to the orange containers here in a second, but sometimes there's rumors flying that don't donate your stuff because all they do is just throw it out. But what the reality is, please donate your stuff, but make sure you understand what you're donating and where you're throwing it, because if it appears we're throwing it out, it's because it's a damaged load.
Correct. I've actually had people that have taken materials like an aluminum paint can, left paint in it, thrown the paint can in with my aluminum cans. However, that contaminated the entire load of aluminum. So that was a lot of profit that we lost out on because someone was trying to do the right thing, or at least I hoped they were, in which case they didn't. It kind of is. And we have to go through these units by hand. We don't have a large sort system at our facility. So we're hand sorting these items as they come through.
Now, do you use volunteers to help with that sorting process, or is that just the full-time staff that's doing that on top of everything else they're doing through their day?
Yes, we have mostly the staff that helps to sort it. We do have community volunteers that come in that help. They come and go as they please, though. They don't have a set time. So if we don't have community volunteers,
it's on you.
It's on the staff. And like I said, at any given time, I do have 2 staff members on site, but otherwise, there are times when I have no more than 4. We have 22 of those off-site locations trying to sort all these materials.
Okay, so good information to know. Let's talk about these 2 beautiful orange containers.
Again, they look very similar. They obviously have different stuff that's contained in them. However, again, if you look at the bottom, this is going to be a little bit harder to see, but this logo is on here. Inside this triangle is a number 2, and inside this triangle is a number 1. So even though it has color and it's a different kind, it actually goes in with the number 1 plastics. So this is something that we have signage at the facility to help separate and tell people. Because again, what happens is we have to hand sort these bins. And I think you've been at Litter Landing. Those bins get pretty full.
And they're huge.
Yes, they hold, give or take, 70 to 80 pounds of material each cage. That's not the cage itself.
Right.
That's just the material inside the cage. So we have to hand sort. So when you're talking about a number of bottles and jars and plastic containers going in there, we have to physically touch each one by hand. So to have it properly sorted makes our life a lot easier. We can just do a quick dump with the forklift into the baler and get it processed.
Okay, so we've talked about plastics, we've talked about metals. One material that was being accepted and then it wasn't being accepted and now it's being accepted is glass.
Yes, glass bottles and jars are currently being accepted. There's a number of glass items out on the market. For example, light bulbs, mirrors, those types of things. Unfortunately, we do not have access to those. Glass is very dangerous to be leaving out and about. It can be sharp, and everybody knows the concepts behind glass. However, it is one of the longest life term as far as recycled repurposing. So it has the longest life form. However, it's the most expensive to process. So currently Litter Landing and the remote donation bins are accepting glass again, any color, doesn't matter.
As long as it's jars.
Bottles and jars,
Okay.
absolutely. And I prefer no jars with candle wax. If you can get all the candle wax out, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But that
because
wax,
again, it contaminates.
yep, when they melt down the glass to get it reprocessed, they also grind it up so that wax particles get caught and mixed up into different things.
Well, and an easy tip to get wax out of jars is
Okay.
to just turn the jar upside down, run it under really hot water. That softens the wax, and then you can use a tiny little spatula, scoop it all out, then take a towel, get in there and wipe it really good. And it doesn't take long, but then you can use the wax and recycle it because there are businesses that will accept the wax and they clean it and refurbish and reuse that. So you can recycle both products.
Absolutely.
If you want to take the time to do that.
Just not together.
Right, correct,
Yes,
correct.
absolutely.
Okay, so that is a lot, and that is all available to the citizens of Findlay, Hancock County, and individuals who are coming in and working within the community.
Yes.
So something we want to talk a little bit about is the relationship you have with the University of Findlay.
Yes.
This is a newer relationship.
Yes.
And we have been working with Litter Landing for this academic year, correct? This started in the 2019-2020 academic year. And that is not us recruiting students and saying, you have to go to Litter Landing. Although we would love for the students who are commuters and the students living in our apartments and townhouses to take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
But we actually are working in conjunction with Litter Landing, where there are some bins here on campus, correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
We have multi-unit bins available on campus. One is currently located at College Street, and the other one is located behind the cafeteria.
So between Fraser Street and Howard Street.
Yes, it's in the alleys back there. The concept was to have access for cafeteria and dining hall services.
As well as the dormitories, because we have women's dormitories in that area.
Correct.
And then along Howard Street, those are all campus housing, so they can bring their stuff back. So you've got quite a little area there of student life also.
Yes, we've worked with the university for actually a number of years where they would bring us the materials.
They would collect and bring it.
Yes, and which has worked out great. However, when we got these bins that we set, we actually have 22 locations throughout all of Hancock County. The university just happens to host 2 of them because of the population in the area of which it's servicing. So we empty those currently at minimum once a week. Sometimes during test time and,
And move out season.
Yep.
And move in season.
Yep. It sometimes gets a little bit more intense, and we got to be more diligent on the collections. But yeah, so, alone, the university thus far has been able to contribute over 10 tons of just plastics.
And that's just this year.
That's just this
academic year.
That is correct.
Not January to now, but when the students moved in last August, up to the middle of spring semester.
Yes, and
what was that again?
That was 10 tons of plastics, which is your 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s, and 7s. That's right.
Yeah.
And then as far as cardboard, because obviously you've got moving boxes and those types of things, so you're closer to 23, 24 ton of material of just the cardboard. And again, these are estimates because I have multiple locations, so I'm just trying to figure out when we collect our materials what we're getting from you guys. Yes, from the area. So, so far it's been a pretty good partnership. It helps out our numbers, and that doesn't cost the university anything. It's free to the public user, and it helps donate to our program to keep the funding options available so that we can continue to hopefully grow.
So currently those bins are accepting the plastics and cardboard. And are you also accepting the tins and the aluminum there?
Yes, the bins are labeled with the plastics, and I believe it says 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s, and 7s. I can't stress that enough. And then, yes, you're correct, the steel cans, the aluminum cans, the cardboard, flattened cardboard, newspapers, office paper, hello homework, as well as glass. So these bins are all marked on the unit, so you just got to put your separated items in their container because the bin itself is actually separated on the inside so that when we go back to the processing, we just pull it straight out and we don't have to hand touch everything separately.
And let's talk about conservation because this is cutting down on mileage, gas. It's keeping the budget attainable for the student.
Absolutely.
It's on an extremely fixed budget.
Yes, absolutely.
As we all are, but students, man, every penny, every fume counts for some.
I may not be a student anymore, but I totally understand your concept.
Well, nonprofits about the same.
Amen. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we have lots going on a daily basis. You have your extension site, collection sites that sound like they are also being very beneficial to not only the raising of funds to keep this in progress and in process, but also it's making a dent in the footprint for ecology and our country and the world.
Yeah, it's keeping the stuff out of the landfill, and the Hancock County landfill, is the one we use around here locally. It's got 50 to 60 year expansion on it. We want to keep this stuff out of the landfill, keep Mother Earth green and thriving.
Well, and people don't think about this, but just a fun fact, I was shopping for winter clothes this year, and 3 of the sweaters I bought, I tried them on, they were nice and soft, they were fuzzy. I was like, oh, these are fun. When I went to see how to clean them, they were a 100% recycled plastic.
Yep.
plastic
Yep,
that was all fuzzy and fun.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I was so excited about that.
That is actually a #1 bottle, is what 85% of the clothing market is made out of, is that old bottled water that you went ahead and tossed into the recycling can.
That's so cool.
Yep, it can get made into a fleece material.
So let's talk about other special days.
Okay.
Because we haven't talked about where to take computer stuff, or because that doesn't get collected on a regular basis. Or we have our tires or our hazardous waste, and we still want to try and keep those out of the landfills, but we want to do it where it's safe for everyone. So tell us a little bit about those programs, because you do host programs for those materials throughout the year.
Yes, the Hancock County Solid Waste District normally hosts at minimum, an annual event day for tires, paper shredding events,
hazardous waste
materials.
And when we say hazardous waste materials, we're talking about paint thinner,
oils, light bulbs. You've got those cleaners, batteries. Those cleaners have been stored in your garage, or your husband or boyfriend changed the oil, and now what? There it is. These are types of things that we collect on those event days, and the district does pay to again provide that service for free. Now we do require that you have a Hancock County driver's license, ID of sort.
Sure.
That way,
that makes total sense.
We want to provide this service for our residents. We appreciate the support of the community surrounding us. However, we can't continue to pay for the disposal and proper recycling of those items because they're pretty pricey.
Sure.
But the district does want to host those events for the betterment of our community.
So let's talk about how someone gets connected. Where is the physical location here in Findlay that people can donate? What's the street address?
Okay, Litter Landing is located at 1720 East Sandusky Street, right down in Findlay, Ohio. So
they can put that in, and Siri or whomever they're using will help them get there.
Absolutely.
And then if someone wants to look up the schedule for the special days, or they're not going to remember maybe what times you're open on Sunday, is there a website that people can go to where this information's posted?
Absolutely. We have the website as well as social media.
So
our web address.
Let's give the web address.
Web address is HancockEnvironment.com.
And it's all together, no space.
All together, no space. www.HancockEnvironment.com.
Okay. And then on social media, what platforms are Hancock Litter Landing?
Right now, the district is focusing mostly on the Facebook social media aspect. We're trying to continue to get that to grow. I'm not going to lie, we're a little new to it. So any help or support, likes and following we can get just helps build and educate the community. And again, it's just Hancock at Hancock Environment.
Okay.
So hopefully we try and keep it all that simple, and we're Keep America Beautiful program, so we want to continue to keep Hancock County beautiful.
Courtney, thank you so much for
You're
all
welcome.
of this wonderful information.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to know the numbers with just a few months that the university has been able to contribute to this.
Yeah.
It will be fun to have you back in the future to see where
Please
those
do.
numbers are.
Yes.
Just wonderful things that you and your team are doing for the county.
Thank you.
And I know we're seeing more bald eagles, we're seeing more at-risk animals coming back and populating, and that really does have to do with the way we're taking care of our community and our human waste.
Absolutely.
So thank you for all the resources you provide.
You're very
It's
welcome.
been so fun having you.
Thank
on
you.
set
I've
today.
enjoyed it.
And we thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at the next episode of the University of Findlay Art and Culture. Until then, be well.